Hey folks, Matt from artoftheimage.com, and we're back with more on the Nikon D610. I want to talk to you about day one, shooting on assignment at the Woodstock Natural History Museum. A neat place to go, especially with our terrible weather we've been having here in Ontario lately. Really cold and it was snowy, so you get indoors. Indoors with challenging lighting, indoors with dim lighting, especially in some of the displays. So the D610 here, with its high ISO abilities, we put them to the test. And in short, it performed very well. Very nice performing high ISO. But let's have a look at some of the photos. To give you a little background on what we're looking at here, here's a clip from the website of the Woodstock Natural History Museum. The permanent exhibit showcases numerous artifacts from early settlers that came to Woodstock. Detailed information explains why the United Empire Loyalists and British half-pay officers settled here in the 19th century. So basically what we're looking at here in the museum is we've got lots of artifacts that you might have found in the homes or around the homes or the homesteads of the early settlers here in southern Ontario. So let's have a look at some of the photos we have from the D610 inside the museum. Okay, so first off, I should mention that what you're seeing here are all out-of-camera JPEGs. I had the cameras set to RAW plus small JPEG. So what you're seeing here is the out-of-camera JPEG. This is what would have been the kitchen area in a early settler's home. This is at ISO 6400, and this was at 1/125th of a second at f4. And this is using the kit lens, the 24 to 85. Here's another shot. I'm not even sure what this little apparatus is, but this was shot at 12,800. So this is high 1 on the D610. This is again using the 24 to 85. Here's an early milking device. This is shot at 6400 ISO. Notice how clean this image is. I'm absolutely amazed at how low noise these shots are, straight out of camera. This is just shot right out of camera, no doctoring with noise reduction or anything, and really nice file straight out of the 610. Here's an early, I guess a loom or something you would call it. Interesting piece of machinery. This was shot at ISO 6400 as well. Here's a close-up. This is at ISO 12,800. This is high 1 on the D610. And then we've got a soldier's uniform. This is also at high 1 at 12,800 ISO. And now we're into an early courtroom situation, or room. And this is also at ISO 12,800. This is high 1 on the D610. An early stove, settler's wood stove, a close-up of the front of it. This is at ISO 6400. And again, this is, actually no, this is ISO 3200. Still using the 24 to 85 kit lens. And this is an early toboggan, child's toboggan. And that is at 44 millimeters setting on that zoom, 1/125th of a second at f4.2. Here we've got some early organs that were made around the Woodstock, Ontario area. This is shot at 3200 ISO. And now we're upstairs in a different room in the museum, and this is an early barber shop. And this one is at ISO 6400. And again, still using the kit zoom. This was at 24 millimeter setting. This is at high 1. This is at ISO 12,800. Again, we're at high 1, ISO 12,800. Another one at ISO 12,800. That's high 1 on the Nikon D610. And some jars and whatnot on the shelf in the barber shop. And again at high 1. ISO 12,800. Notice the how clean the image is. Notice the detail, and despite the fact that we're at high 1, ISO 12,800. Here's a shot of zooming in a bit on the barber's chair. This is at ISO 6400. And we're out of the barbershop now, and we are looking at the stairs going down, just kind of an interesting shot of the winding staircases. This is at ISO 3200 on the D610, still using the kit zoom. Now we've switched to the 50mm f1.8G on the D610, and we're at 3200 ISO here at f1.8 with the 50mm. And we've got a safe dial here, and that's at ISO 6400 at f1.8. Soldiers buckle and whatnot on the uniform, and we're at ISO 6400, still at f1.8. The sign for the Sergeant's Mess, the engraved Sergeant's Mess Oxford Rifles sign, and that is f1.8 at ISO 3200. We've got a soldier's hat, or a helmet I should say. That is at f1.8 as well, ISO 3200 on the Nikon D610. Here we're at ISO 6400, f1.8 again. We see the markings and numbering here on a piece of pipe for some machinery. It's a close-up. But notice the detail and the low noise for an ISO 6400 shot. Here we've got ISO 12800. This is also at f1.8 on the 50mm on the D610. But again, high 1 setting and relatively low noise, still fairly detailed. Not bad for high 1. Here we've got f1.8, still using the 50mm. We're at ISO 3200 on the D610. It's a wagon wheel, looks like. Close-up of the center here, and quite decent shot. I really like shooting the 50mm on the D610. It's a beautiful lens just about on any camera. Works very nicely on the D610. You can actually see here at f1.8, just even on the angle I'm shooting at, that the lower bolts there are slightly out of focus as opposed to the focus area on the upper bolts, which are more in focus. Shows you the shallower depth of field that you can attain with the f1.8 on the D610's 35mm full-frame sensor. Here we've got an old police stop light that would have been on an old car or carriage, f1.8 at ISO 6400. And so there you go, folks. That is a selection of images, high ISO images shot at the Woodstock Natural History Museum using the Nikon D610, mostly with the 24 to 85 kit zoom, and some of them, as you saw at the end there, with the 50mm f1.8. Stay tuned. We'll be back soon with some more images from the D610, some more articles on the D610, and we'll just keep you up to date with our ongoing, continuing shooting and shooter's experience with the Nikon D610. That's the FX full-frame DSLR from Nikon. Thanks, folks.